world of matchups is back in the house. Week number 3 coming to y'all live and direct from Las Vegas, Nevada, on the other side of the glass. My A1 from day one, Mr. Spencer the Wiz, and the matchup militia breaking down every game on this week's slate. Spencer, what is up, my dude?
Nothing much. Ready to get the taste of week 2 out, and maybe a fresh week here for my Raiders.
Week 2 was kind of tough for both of us. We had some good picks, some good wins, but our losers were like, damn, how did we miss these? So we'll look to right the ship today. Let's get started with the 10 o'clockers. First things first, the Los Angeles Chargers, the underachieving LA Chargers, they go to Minnesota and Skull. They are they are getting 1 point from the Vikings here. Look, I'm going to tell you, you're coming straight out the door. I think this is the year that Brandon Staley gets fired. I do not like the Chargers. They are minus Austin Eckler. I'm not a big believer in backup running backs like Josh Kelly. Everybody in fantasy was telling me to jump on this guy. He did absolutely nothing last week versus Tennessee. That's a game that he should have never lost. Coaching matters in the National Football League. It really does. And sure, you have Justin Herbert, who is going to have an MVP-type season, but this is a team that just finds ways to lose games. And their secondary is not good. Their run defense is not good. I can see Minnesota at home being galvanized because they absolutely got to have a win here. They just have to have it. And when I have two bad teams like this with nothing to play for except just pride to get that first W to right the ship, I'm taking the home team and the team that's got Jay Jettas. I think they beat the Chargers by at least 3 points. I'm going to say 3-7. I can't take the Chargers anywhere right now. Hashtag Friar Brandon Staley. Get him out. He's a bum.
Yeah, I think this is the game of the week. These are two playoff teams. Playoff bound teams that are 0-2, and obviously you can't go down 0-3. I think statistically it just becomes like nearly impossible, especially for the Chargers. Like, their season's over if they lose this game. Look, they should have never lost to the Titans. That was just embarrassing, and the way that it all went down too is just they just fall apart like the Chargers do. And I don't trust Minnesota, but they have been playing decently. They've played some pretty good teams. This is a tough game, teams, to be honest. Yeah, I'll take the home team. Just the Chargers don't excite me, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll take the Vikings here, but this is a coin flip. Obviously, the line says the same thing. I have no idea what's going to happen, but this is going to be an entertaining game because these guys are going to go all out for this one.
Yeah, fire up your guys for fantasy. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Jay Jettas. I mean, the skilled players are going to go absolutely apeshit in this game. Next, Bills. They head to Washington to take on the Commanders. Bills are -6. I'm telling you, going in the door, I like a lot of home dogs this week. I always do, and I'm never going to back off that. I'm taking the Commanders here +6. Anytime I see the Buffalo Bills annihilate a team, the very next week they come back and they lay an egg. I can definitely see them playing with themselves here and not coming through. A lot of people think they're going to blow this team up. Washington defense is pretty good. Sam Howell had a really rough time last week in Denver, but they still came and won that game. The emergence of Brian Robinson is going to matter. Von Miller is still out. If you double Stephon Diggs and force those ancillary pieces to make up for his absence, the Bills don't win. They just don't. They don't excite me. I think Sean McDermott is on his way out. There's nobody whose window is closing faster in the National Football League at winning a Super Bowl than the Buffalo Bills. And what Josh Allen are you going to get? You just don't know. Are you going to get the good Josh Allen who protected the rock last week, or the Josh Allen who turned the ball over? You get a touchdown, you get a turnover, you get a turnover, you get an interception, you get a fumble in New York at the Meadowlands. I don't trust the Bills on the road ever, anywhere, in any kind of weather. Washington +6 is the play.
I'm going to take Buffalo here. I don't think they play so inconsistent that it's literally like week to week and they play 500 football. The reality is, well, first of all, it is impressive what the Commanders have done through the first 2 weeks. Like, I'm not trying to take that away from them, but they've played two really, really bad teams, and I just don't think they even understand like what a top tier team is yet. And sometimes you have to get punched in the mouth for that. And I think that was the case for the Raiders. They played a stinky Broncos team, and they were riding high. Everything was going to perfect, and then you face an angry Bills team. I don't think they're going to overlook this game at all. I know it's in Washington, but I think the little like perfect bubble around Washington right now, and the love story between Eric Bieniemy and Sam Howell, I think it's going to get a little bit of a reality check this week. So I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills.
The Eric Bieniemy effect cannot be denied.
He's amazing offensive coordinator.
Look at what's happening in Kansas City right now.
Yeah,
it cannot be denied. The national media doesn't want to talk about it. Eric Bieniemy continues to get a raw deal. If this guy's not a head coach after this contract is up, there's absolutely a rat running around the room of the National Football League. Next, the Saints take their act to Green Bay and take on the Packers. Packers -1 here. I'm taking the Packers simply because I'm waiting for the Derek Carr game. You guys know which game I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Derek Carr game where he forces the ball down the field in a crucial moment to ice the game for the other team. You haven't seen it yet. The Saints defense, yes, it is good, but so is the Packers defense. A lot of people seem to think that Jordan Love is going to turn into a pumpkin here. I'm going to go on record as saying I'm not one of them. Okay, every single year in the National Football League, there's a guy who's supposed to just suck and be a scrub and isn't. And I think that this could be Jordan Love this year. I really, really do. Now, mind you, they blew the game last week versus the Falcons. We both called Green Bay winning that game, and they were winning that game handily. I mean, when you lose to Desmond Ridder, come on, man. But I do think they right the ship here. Now, they are down some players. Okay, A.J. Dillon didn't really galvanize me. I'm not sure if they're getting their starting RB back, but it looks like Christian Watson might play. I mean, if Aaron Jones plays in this game, this is a game that they definitely should win. You know, Jair Alexander is, like I said last week, a top cover corner in this league. It is in their building where they usually play really well to teams not named San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to go out on a whim. This is kind of like the first game we broke down. This is a coin flip, and when it is a coin flip, team coming off a loss versus a game they should have won, I'm going to take the Packers here. The Saints are good, but they're a different team on the road.
Yeah, Derek Carr hasn't been good this season. It's been a silent story. He stinks whenever they get 20 yards away from the end zone, just like he did for the Raiders. That hasn't changed. He's one of the worst red zone quarterbacks I've ever seen in my entire life. And they've won by default. I mean, honestly, that Carolina game, they won just because Carolina's that bad. And Derek Carr, he has a couple of good throws here at the end of the games, and it's what he does sometimes. But when you need a game like this where you're going to depend on him to score a couple times against a good defense, I could just see it going absolutely disastrous. He had such a terrible interception of the triple coverage last week. If he does that against Green Bay, he ain't going to win the game. And no. I could see that happening here. Green Bay, look, they did lose a close game, and they really shouldn't have lost it, but they were without Aaron Jones. They were without Christian Watson. They're finally, I think, getting a little bit healthier now. I know Aaron Jones practiced this week. That's a good sign for them.
They may both
He's
play.
Such a difference maker. Yeah, if you take an option 1 and 2 off any team in the NFL, you'll see how good their week is, and that's what happened last week. You can go down the list and tell me, oh, no Justin Jefferson and whoever for the Vikings. That'd be a really big loss for them. They'd probably lose that week. You know what I mean? So I think that was a little bit of the case last week, and maybe the Falcons are a little bit more scrappy than we thought of. I think it's just a combination of all those things. I like Green Bay here. I think they bounce back. I think they're a pretty good football team.
Yeah, I do too, and I call them winning 6 games. So right now, somebody's warming up my crow sandwich. Next, Falcons at the Lions. Lions are -3. I was adamant about the Lions last week, and they absolutely screwed me. And so for that reason and that reason only, I'm going against them this week, and I'm taking the Falcons +3. It's interesting, this matchup, because last year I told anybody that would listen about how good the Lions were going to be. And I think they're still going to be good. They're hurting right now. You know what I mean? Missing a couple real important pieces. But I think that this year's team for everyone to watch out for is the Falcons. They can win without throwing the ball. They have a very good defense, and their run game is going to be one of the best, if not the best, in the entire NFL. Their secondary is very, very slept on. Guys like A.J. Terrell don't get their flowers, and you saw them win a game last week that they probably should have lost. They may not win this game, but I'm telling you right now, they're going to cover that 3. Look, is somebody as talented as Kyle Pitts going to languish in obscurity like this forever? At some point, Arthur Smith and the offensive coordinator has to get in the room and design ways to get the ball into this guy's hand. If you took Kyle Pitts off the Atlanta Falcons and you put him on the Kansas City Chiefs, what would Kyle Pitts look like? Enough already, Arthur Smith. game plan for this guy. He is dying a slow death in Atlanta unnecessarily. And I think I'm going to call it right now, and I'm going to say it with my chest. This is the Kyle Pitts week. You heard it here first, folks. Don't be surprised if Atlanta wins this game outright, okay? David Montgomery is hurting. They have been reluctant to give the full complement of touches to Jahmyr Gibbs. Josh Reynolds is banged up. Amon-Ra is banged up. They're going to ask Goff to win this game like a Mahomes-type game. And I'm not sure that they can do it, especially after how I saw them melt down versus a bad Seattle team last week. Atlanta plus the 3 is the play.
Yeah, this is a good week of football. These are a lot of really close matchups, and this is what you love to see. This is a great slate.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
A lot of these games are just such coin tosses. It's going to come down to one player, too. You know, it really feels like one of those weeks where you're like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. And if it happens, you're like, you know, kind of wipe the sweat off your brow. Mm-hmm. I tend to think Detroit's just a better football team. I think the downfall of this game is going to be Desmond Ridder. The Falcons are good at home. Like, it's just a fact at this point. I mean, it's like 4 straight for them. And that's not an easy feat in the NFL, especially for a team that's like, you know, like a 500 football team. To win those games at home, it means something. And I think the fact that they're playing in Detroit's salty after last week. They really shouldn't have lost that game. A really bad pick 6, you know, kind of sealed the deal a little bit. It still got close after that. But, you know, I think Seattle played with a little bit of desperation, and those kinds of games happen. I think you saw that in the Raiders game, too. And those things just boil over. You know, sometimes you just face teams at the wrong time. I just don't generally think that this Falcons team is very talented. I think they're exciting. I think they're really, really, really fun to watch, but that's about as far as I'll take it. I'll take Detroit here on the bounce back at home. I think the fans are going to be really fired up. But yeah, losing one of their top players is really bad for the season. So obviously, I think it was their new pick, you know, was lost, and that hurts, but I don't think it's enough. I think they have an insane head coach who can kind of get anybody to run through a wall. So I think it's only going to be minimal, the impact. So I'll take Detroit here. I think they win at home. I think they win pretty handily, actually.
Yeah, those injuries are going to kill them. Garner Johnson's out too, man. That guy was in the Super Bowl last year, guys. These things matter. Next, touchdown Titans head to Cleveland to take on the Browns, who just stink. The Browns are minus 3.5. I don't know how the Browns are favored to anybody in this league right now. Deshaun Watson sucks, man. You know, it just goes to show you how, like, you can literally ruin your career with your off-field activities. It's mind-blowing to me. I mean, he looked absolutely horrendous on Monday night. You want to talk about gift wrapping a win to the other team, man. He's not good. And folks, he hasn't been good. Let's be honest. He hasn't been good since he put on a brown uniform. Show me the good game that Deshaun Watson has had in a brown uniform. I'll wait, okay? And so for that reason and that reason only, I'm taking the Titans here. You can control the ball with Derrick Henry. That's all you really need. I don't even care if their wide receivers are healthy or not. It doesn't matter, man. Mike Vrabel is better than Kevin Stefanski. Losing Nick Chubb is going to hurt. I don't care about this Jerome Ford guy. I know he looked good last week and flashed, but look, at the end of the day, the quarterback matters. And I know Ryan Tannehill sucks. I know, but you cannot sit on the other side of this glass bench and tell me how many times you have watched us bet against the Titans in these kind of games, and then the Titans find a way to win. You're just like, how does this continue to happen? Week 2 versus the Chargers. How did they win that game? How? Tell me how they do it. So I'm finally going to get on the Titan train here, and I'm going to take those 3.5. And they may not win, but I'm here to tell you, man, they're going to be in this game. Why? Because Deshaun Watson sucks, and I will never back off that. Folks, the Deshaun Watson that you saw in Houston is gone. Let it go. He does not exist anymore. He is a overplayed game managing type of player right now that turns the ball over like a black Derek Carr. I have spoken.
I'll take that too. I have no faith in Cleveland. They stink. Deshaun Watson stinks. I think they carry themselves with the wrong attitude too. It's like you have this like semi-organized football team, and Myles Garrett's kind of goofing around out there. Deshaun Watson's like, sitting at the sidelines with his eyes closed during pregame. It's just wild, man. And yeah, obviously no one feels bad about it. I mean, I think that's just something that I think we can all agree on. This guy is a horrible person. Shouldn't be playing in the NFL. Should have never gotten paid. That's what Cleveland does. This is they brought this upon themselves, obviously.
I don't feel bad for them at all.
I'm not going to, shed a tear. They hired a big-time mega rapist and paid him fully guaranteed money. Like, tell me where that part was supposed to go really well. Jeez, I don't know. So they got what they deserved. I think it's going to continue. They lost their best player by far, and I think the season's just going to get worse and worse for them. Tennessee, it's just Tennessee. That's just what they do. They're just random. Sometimes they look like the worst team in the league. Other times they look like a AFC wildcard team. You can steal a game in the playoffs. It's so weird. Yeah, but I think that the Chargers are a better team than the Browns, and the Tennessee beat them last week, and so by
handily,
by default, by default, I think I see this game here for Tennessee.
Yeah. Chigio Conquel hasn't blown up yet. It's time for this tight end who's got skills to do something, and I think this might be the week he does it. I mean, even if D-Hop doesn't play, man, Treylon Burks is good enough. It's just Ryan Tannehill.
Spears, too.
They got players, man. Dude, it's amazing what good coaching can do. Mike Vrabel can turn a pile of garbage into a beef Wellington. It's unbelievable, man. Touchdown Titans plus 3.5. Texans at the Jags. Texans are getting 7.5. Spencer, I'm here to tell you that this is going to be the type of game that is going to solidify to you and everyone that wouldn't listen to me why C.J. Stroud should have been the first-round pick. I'm telling you straight up and down, you guys didn't want to listen, and now Bryce Young is already hurt. He's too small. Reports are coming out that he can't even get in the freaking scrum to get a first down on a quarterback sneak. This is why you take a big, strong, accurate pocket passer. Now, look, no one expects Houston to go to the Super Bowl, but you cannot deny the flashes that C.J. Stroud has shown so far in his young NFL career, and 7.5 is too much. They have weapons. Nico Collins is a very good wide receiver, probably the most slept-on wide receiver in the entire National Football League. It's just a matter of time before Dameon Pierce blows. Now, I know Jacksonville's defense is good. I watched that whole Chiefs-Jags game last week. They are on the come-up. They are very, very seasoned, and they're on their way, man. But you cannot deny 7.5. There's something about that 0.5. There's something about that hook that's just too tasty to lay that 7.5. And I can see a backdoor cover here like we saw last week with the Rams and the 49ers here that just absolutely makes everyone tear their tickets up. So I'm taking Houston plus a 7.5. I think you're going to watch C.J. Stroud get better and better every single week. And Andy Dalton is starting for the Carolina Panthers. Folks, I'm telling you, y'all got gassed. I'm not saying Bryce Young's going to be bad, but little quarterbacks end up where Kyler Murray is right now. Houston plus the 7.5 and go to Sizzler.
Oh, man, I feel like we're disagreeing on a lot of these today. I like Jacksonville in this game. I agree with you that C.J. Stroud has been impressive. The guy was good. I love C.J. Stroud in the process. He was kind of who I was hoping the Raiders would get, but as I just went further along, I just realized that they would just never happen. The Raiders organization just wasn't interested in giving up a lot of assets to move up like that, which is understandable. But yeah, this kid's going to be pretty good. I mean, he's a pocket passer. He's tall. He's got all the throws that you need to make, which is great. But unfortunately, the rest of the team is like a steaming pile of buns, in my opinion. It's very, very bad. They kind of feel like they were leaning on, some of their first round picks a little too hard, which is fine, right? The Nico Ryan's first season. They're building a team that didn't really exist last year, if that makes sense. They're really starting over in a sense. I think they'll be good in the future. I think they laid a great foundation. They got a great trade for a mega rapist, which is crazy to think that they actually even got great value. Just remember, there was a time when they're are they even going to be able to trade this guy after it all went down?
Mm-hmm.
And they got a lot of assets for it, so good for them. But yeah, I think this Jaguars team is really, really good. I think they're really salty about the loss last week to the Chiefs. That was a game they felt like they should have had. And I just think it's kind of one of those Bills-Raiders situations where a good playoff team, which is what I think the Jaguars are just going to be just going to have those, frustrations bundled up. And I think it's going to overflow against the Texans, who aren't even extremely, invested in winning a certain amount of games this year. I'll take the 7.5, mostly because Jacksonville's at home.
Yeah, and I definitely could see that. D'Amico Ryans has definitely got some Eric Bieniemy to him. And X factor here, Zay Jones is out, man. And Travis Etienne has not flashed like people are thinking. And I watched that entire game last week, man. The play calling for Jacksonville absolutely lost them that game. I could see something very similar that keeps a team like Houston hanging around, man. 7.5 all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. Next, how in the How in the world are the New England Patriots favorites on the road to the Jets? Can somebody come look at this? Am I seeing this correctly? Mercy, man. I don't want to hear anything about the Patriots being favorites on the road to anyone. You know how many minutes the Patriots have been playing ahead this season, Spencer? It's week 3. They haven't played with a lead yet. I don't care what anyone says, man. The Bills are better than the Patriots, and they lost to the Jets. And I'm a New Yorker who has been to a million Jet games. That Jet team is a different team at home. They beat high-end teams there all the time. You saw it versus the Bills. They beat the Cowboys there a couple times. I think the Chiefs are going to have all they can handle next week. There's no way they're losing this game. Who is Mac Jones really throwing to? They just have a bunch of guys, man. They're already complaining about Juju Smith-Schuster, Kendrick Bourne. Come on, man, get out of here with that. Their tight ends are their best players, man, and I'm not seeing it. Now, will Ramondre Stevenson have room to run on that stout Jet front? I don't think so, man. I mean, it's going to be a lot of dump-offs. There's no throwing deep. No one's visiting Sauce Island. I mean, come on. This will boil down to Zach Wilson. It really will. And if he can just get the ball to Garrett Wilson, there's no way the Patriots can win this game. I know Bill is notorious for taking the other team's quarterback out of the game, but I do think Coach will have this Jet team ready coming off a really bad loss in Dallas. The Jets are a different breed at home. Home dogs pay dividends. It's gangrene all day for me. Jets, Jets, plus the 2.5.
I don't know who's going to win this game, but I know the winner of this is whoever takes the under. They can't set an under low enough in this football game.
It's 36.5.
Nah, it's not enough. I think this is like a 10-13 barn burner, in my opinion. I think there actually is a little bit of weather associated with this game. I could be wrong. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever the conditions are, it could be perfectly sunny outside. This is going to be a big-time stinker. The Jets' defense is incredible. Yeah. Mac Jones stinks.
Stinks.
You know, the Patriots' defense is good. Zach Wilson stinks. I mean, this has been the matchup for years. I mean, for the last couple of years now. Although I think, doesn't someone have a big winning streak over the other? I'm pretty sure it's the Patriots.
The Patriots have owned the Jets since the Tom Brady days, and that's another reason that the Jets have had enough. It's
got to break at some point, but man, Zach Wilson will
Jets
try his
are winning
best
this
to lose
game, dude.
This game.
Jets money, dude. Jets money line. Jets money line is steak and lobster Sunday night. Y'all can do what you want to do. I'm a New Yorker,
I'll take your word on it. I don't really know what's going to happen other than the under, but I'll go with you on this one. I trust you. I'll take.
Jets have a defensive head coach as well. I mean, if you guys are scared, I mean, me and Spencer aren't telling you guys what to do. We're just telling what we think. But I mean, I think the under is a great play as well. Under might be the best play. 17-14. How are they going to score points in this game? My God. And if it's raining, forget about it. These teams are both bad. Zach Wilson is really bad, but I don't trust Mac Jones on the road versus Sachem High School. Next. The Denver Broncos are going to visit Miami Dolphins. Miami's minus 6.5. I have zero faith in Denver. That team has zero heart, man. And you know what?
It's a historic blowout.
You love to see it. I'm here for all of it as a Chief fan. I'm here for all of it. These Denver Broncos fans in my inbox and in my messages all the time talking all this crap. This one guy tried to tell me I've been a Chief fan for the last 2 years. This is for you, bro. This beatdown.
You enjoy this one.
This beatdown is for you because I'm telling you right now. I said it last week, and I'm going to continue to say it. Y'all are smoking if you don't think the Dolphins can go to the Super Bowl. You are smoking. If they get Jalen Ramsey back at any point, you are smoking. Mike McDaniel has schemed this team up fantastically. Now you're seeing the reemergence of Raheem Mostert. This guy is a corpse. He ran all over New England last week. Cost me my fantasy win. So I'm going with Miami here. 6.5 is not enough.
Not nearly enough.
A touchdown wins versus a team that is underachieving. They have one of the best secondaries and have done absolutely nothing with it. Brian Robinson ran through your defense like a hot knife through butter. Disgraceful. Sean Payton, this is an embarrassment. Russell Wilson, if it wasn't for that Hail Mary, you guys wouldn't even been in that game. You think there's going to be another Hail Mary that comes through for you with a rookie this week? Absolutely not. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, even like guys like River Craycraft could be starting on other teams. This Miami team is absolutely loaded. They're scheming them properly. Now they're running the ball too. And they're in their building. Stop it. Denver 0-3. This is my lock bet of the week. I don't trust Denver anywhere, and I'm enjoying it even more because the Broncos' tears are just as salty as ever. Hold this L already. I'm calling this. Take Miami with confidence because they are coming through.
This would be the biggest shocker of like the year if Denver was able to go into Miami like this. But even a Hail Mary at the end of this game, I predict, won't even be enough. This will be a multiple score game. Denver stinks.
They stink.
They couldn't do anything against the Washington Commanders. They didn't look good against the Raiders, who are extremely pedestrian. You can't do that against those two teams. They should have started 2-0 this year, and here they are 0-2 facing a really good Miami team. There's no way. I don't know where 6.5 comes from. There's something fishy about it, to be honest.
No way, dude.
I can't go against it. There's no way that Miami doesn't blow the doors off of them.
Waddle's going to play after being weird all week up with the Q tag. They're going to destroy this team, and I have no faith in the Denver Broncos. I don't think I'll pick them in a game this year. If you can't beat the Raiders and you can't beat the Commanders in your own building, what's going to happen when teams like the Chargers and the Chiefs roll up on you? Come on, man. Fall back and get yourself together. And your fans are the most annoying fans in the world. I mean, I know Chief fans are pissy and annoying as well, and I don't even love half of this freaking fan base, but you guys take the cake. Next, Colts at the Ravens. Ravens minus 7.5. I'm telling you right now, even without Anthony Richardson on the field, I'm taking the Colts plus a 7.5. The Ravens just haven't really impressed me. They paid Lamar, and you're seeing the fruits of paying Lamar. They are trying to force him into being something he is not, kind of like what Chicago is doing with Justin Fields. This guy makes his hay off running the football. And so now you are trying to force him to not have any design runs and to really just stay back there and be a pocket passer and throw. This is not who Lamar is. And quite frankly, this is not what you are paying him to be. But that's what you're trying to make him. Todd Monken is really trying to force this issue of getting Bateman and OBJ, who's hurt, and get these, Mark Andrews out in space and get these guys throwing the ball all over the place. And I think it's going to come back and bite you. No J.K. Dobbins. I don't trust Gus Edwards to drive me to school. I'm not feeling what they're laying down here. Now, the defense is good. You know what I mean? And Gardner Minshew is no Joe Montana. But Gardner Minshew was a starter in this league, and the guy's mustache is fantastic. You get 2 points just for the mustache. And so I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Colts hang in this game because they got a solid defense. They have a decent running game. I know they're out there with a bunch of scrubs. I know this, but I have not seen the Ravens look like everyone is thinking that they are. I'm not saying they're a pretender, but they are not a contender. I wouldn't take the Ravens versus a good team in the playoffs right now at all the way Lamar looks. And if you take Mark Andrews away, they are nothing but a very pedestrian team with a running black quarterback. Take the 7.5. Don't be scared. I know they can't score, but you can score a myriad of different ways in the National Football League. And this is a team that is the same team that beat the Chiefs last year. Get at me.
Yeah, I like that. I'll take the 7.5. The hook here definitely does make a huge difference to me. Gardner Minshew is a starter. He just ended up being the backup here. You saw that when he came in last week. He looked good. I mean, he's Gardner Minshew. He's not going to take you to the playoffs.
Or lose the game for you.
Yeah, exactly. He'll actually not be the reason you lose either. He'll put it in there. He's going to go for it. He's not a conservative backup quarterback. When he gets the starting gig, he's like, they paid me to throw the ball. I'm going to throw the football. That's how I feel about Gardner Minshew. So yeah, I'm all for it here. I think they have a definite chance. I don't know if they're going to win this game, especially because it's in Baltimore. But 7.5 seems like a little too much. The Colts haven't looked incompetent at any one point in the season, at all. So I think you combine that with the fact that Baltimore hasn't really looked all that great this year. I can see a closer game than the Ravens really want to deal with.
They haven't, man. And if they had A-Rich on the other side, I might take the Colts to win this game outright. True talk. So it is what it is. You guys can do whatever you want to do with your money, but I'm not buying what Baltimore's putting down. Not yet. Next, a game that I love here, and if I had another best bet, this would be it. Carolina is flying to Seattle all the way across the country. Seattle's minus 5.5, coming off a very thrilling win versus a very good Lions team who beat Kansas City opening day. Look, I love Seattle here. I don't think 5.5 is enough. I think they absolutely steamrolled the Carolina Panthers here, who have really nothing going on, man. I watched some of that game on Monday night. Now, will Andy Dalton immediately make them better? I think they will. They're skilled players, the Hayden Hurst, the DJ Charks, the Adam Thielens. He'll make them better because he's a veteran. He's a journeyman. This is a guy who started tons of games in the National Football League, but this is also a guy who throws the ball into the other team's hands with regularity. Seattle's defense is good. They have Devin Witherspoon on the field right now. Ken Walker is silently having a fantastic season. It looks like DK Metcalf is going to play. And look, Geno Smith is a good quarterback. Maybe it just took us too long to really recognize that at 32 years of age, man. Sometimes your hand has to get held longer and you have to find the right position. And they love him in Seattle. I could see them destroying Carolina here after a 3,000-mile flight. -5.5 touchdown wins in your building off a game that you shouldn't have won. The momentum is coming your way. Let them get JSN involved at all in this game. And we're off to the races, folks. Have a cocktail ready, man, because this is a definite winner. I really love Seattle here -5.5.
The talking heads at ESPN and all these other like big sports companies, sports talk shows, they've ruined our perception of football because there's this idea that has been, passed down that, oh, if you're a system quarterback, that's bad. You're not really good. But that's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Geno Smith found a system that works for him, and he's very good at it. How can you ever hold that against somebody? Putting someone in a position to win and like playing to their strengths, that's what you should be doing. That's what happened to Matt Ryan for the Falcons for all those years. Oh, he's a system quarterback. Who cares? He won MVP. He put up some insane stats, like Hall of Fame level stats. So what is the value of a system quarterback? A lot, okay? It works for a lot of franchises, and it's working for the Seattle Seahawks. Carolina looked like garbage. They
look like dog shit, dude.
They remind me of the Raiders, where they have some of the best skill position players in the NFL, and then the rest of the team is filled with absolute dog water. That's what happened to the Carolina Panthers. You see some of their best players make some of the most incredible plays to keep them in the game, and then you roll out like some just absolute terrible players. And
Bryce Young ain't ready.
No, he thought he was. People thought he was NFL ready, and that's why
Bryce Young ain't ready, guys.
No,
I mean, I wish nothing bad on anyone, but go back and look at the episodes. I've been screaming C.J. Stroud #1 for a long time.
Yeah,
and they are in a bad spot now.
This is Carroll. Andy Dalton's playing for Carolina.
Pete Carroll has done a masterful job with Geno Smith. Masterful. Let Jackson Smith and the Jigba do anything in this game, and they're going to win this game by 10 to 14 points. Next, the boys going to Arizona -13. I'm not going to waste too much time on this game. I had the NFL red zone flipping back and forth when the Giants came back and won that game. Guys, Arizona is not trying to win. Okay, they're in the hunt for Caleb. They're not trying to win. You kind of have to look like you're trying, but deep down inside, they're not trying to win. That coach has got a "don't worry, you're coming back no matter what happens" clause in his contract that no one knows about, okay? Because why would you try to win when you know that you need a franchise quarterback to do anything in this league? They haven't had anyone good since Kurt Warner was there and they went to the Super Bowl. Dallas is just on a hunt, man. They're hunting. Dallas is hunting people. Okay, so there's nowhere to hide. The defense is all world. When Josh Dobbs is your starting quarterback, all they're going to do is stack the box and dare James Conner to do anything. I don't think 13 is enough. Kind of reminds me of the game we just saw versus the Giants on Thursday, where everyone was like, Giants plus 10.5. They'll be in the game. No, they won't. Guys, listen, you can't be scared to lay points in the National Football League. Bad teams can't score. And if you can't score, you can't score. CeeDee Lamb should eat like it's Thanksgiving here. They have great ancillary pieces. Micah Parsons is going to be all over Josh Dobbs. This game is not going to be anything of value for Arizona. It could be I remember when the Chiefs went there opening day, it was 37-7 at halftime. I think we're going to see something similar. Lay to 13 and lay it with balls.
I'm not afraid. This is pretty straightforward to me. Arizona is a steaming pile of garbage. I think they wanted to lose that game against the Giants, and they're not even going to have time to mess around this week. Dallas is going to come in and absolutely demolish these guys.
I think so,
I don't care
too.
what the points are. I don't think 14 would be enough. It's Dallas all the way. This is going to be a massive blowout.
Yeah, I think so too. Next, Bears at Kansas City Chiefs, my team. Have we seen a team have a week as bad as the Bears have had this week? Justin Fields comes out, calls out coaching in his presser. Then the DC steps down. Who knows what's going on? They say the FBI raided the team's facility. Then they raided his house. Don't know how true that is. If it is true, it's child porn, man. It's child porn, guns or drugs. I got tons of friends who are Bears fans, and they're just they're just so beyond themselves. They don't even know what to do. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if each and every one of them isn't on antidepressants and on suicide watch on Sundays. I check in with them, make sure they're okay. I've been there, man. As a Chief fan, 2012, I was there, so I understand, and then Soldier Field gets broken into and they steal a whole bunch of equipment, and now they have to go on the road to face the defending champs who have not looked good and are just needing a resounding W. I think this is the week, man. I took the Jags last week versus the Chiefs, plus the points, and the Chiefs pulled out a tough game, and I think that they're still banged up too in a lot of ways, man. Chiefs, I'm telling you, they're just not healthy. They're not there, and they're trying to fix this all in season, which can be difficult, and it's hard to repeat, and Andy Reid is going to do Andy Reid type things, but I do still think that this should be 31-13, no problem. Patrick Mahomes is going to absolutely eviscerate this defense. I don't trust any of the skilled players on the offensive side of the ball for the Chicago Bears. I know Nick Bolton is out, but there is no better linebacker room in the entire NFL than Kansas City. Leo Chenal is a mammoth. Drew Tranquill was brought in for moments like this. Willie Gay Jr., they'll be just fine. Rest up, Nick. You'll be needed down the stretch. Chris Jones won that game by himself for Kansas City last week. Justin Fields has been sacked 10 times. Fire up the Chiefs defense in this one because they can win this game by themselves in front of a hungry fan base that has been waiting for you to score 30 points. I just don't see how they don't cover the 12.5. Again, do not be scared to lay points in the National Football League when you have Patrick Mahomes at home, rested. Chiefs 31-13 final.
Yeah, the Bears are a steaming pile of garbage. Justin Fields doesn't look good, saying all the wrong things. I mean, these are the conversations you normally have 8 games in the season when you're 2-6, and then the frustration really starts to boil over, and that's an understandable level. Like you saw with the Raiders a little bit last year, once you got into the later stages of the season, then you start hearing a little mumbling from Devontae Adams. And, naturally, these guys are athletes who play a gladiator sport. They have a lot of passion for the game. But you're already seeing that going into week 3 for the Bears. I mean, it's just rare. You just don't see a team fall apart this quickly. Normally, you can ride the wave of, it's early in the season, you can turn things around. It's not the sentiment you get from the Chicago team, and this just isn't the week for them to pull it back together.
Not at all.
That's assuming that Justin Fields can do anything for the rest of the season, and if he doesn't, it's just going to get worse and worse. I mean, you can look at the highlight tapes, and the guy just doesn't look right. I mean, for whatever reason, maybe it's not the right system for him.
Bad coaching.
Stinks. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's probably a combination of just a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
And I would just be shocked if Kansas City doesn't roll them over, especially after everything.
Yep, I concur as well. It's sad to see what's happening to Justin Fields because the guy is talented, but he also has the Ohio State quarterback curse, written all over his jersey. One of two things has to happen. He has to go or everyone needs to be fired. Lose every game, go after Caleb, because the Bears have capital, they got money, and they got picks. No one's better than what they're doing, but I think they did blow it by not taking Jalen Carter, and they're suffering, man. They're suffering, long-suffering Bears fans, man. I feel for you guys because you're getting your shit pushed in this week. Next, Steelers at your team. Steelers come to Allegiant. The Raiders home opener. I cannot see a world where the Raiders don't win this game -2.5 when you have the leg of Daniel Carlson kicking. I just don't see it. Now, if it's 3.5, I'm taking the Steelers. Steelers won a very emotional game off the hands of their defense last week. They're not the same team on the road. And Vegas is not the same team at home. I think that the Raiders will get this one. I really, really do. I think the Raiders are better than people think. I think that they're poorly coached. And I think that they have players like Michael Mayer who have yet to really make any kind of super impact in the National Football League. And I think you're going to see it Sunday night at Allegiant. I think that the city deserves a winner. And if you're not going to win consistently, win big games that people think you're going to lose. And this is what the Raiders do. The Ravens, when they come to town, I mean, if it's a big team, they win at home. If it's a lousy team like the Cardinals, they find a way to blow it. And so I would be even willing to put money on this, because I really feel like this is the type of game that the Raiders will pull out. Kenny Pickett has not looked good. Their skilled players can't get the ball. Najee Harris has probably been the biggest running back disappointment in the entire National Football League to date. And I just don't see a world where they fly across the country and get this W. McDaniels knows that you cannot lose this game in front of your fans and go 1-2. You just can't. If they have any hopes, I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs, but if they have any hopes of just keeping the franchise somewhat galvanized and not being like 5-9, 5-10, this is a game that you gotta win. You cannot let Pittsburgh fly home with their terrible towels and a W here.
Yeah, I would be lying if I said last week wasn't disappointing, because I thought they'd be a little bit closer. But just everything went wrong for them. For the Raiders, they faced the Bills at a horrible time at home. They took a terrible loss last week against the Jets, and the Raiders were riding high. They had a nice win in Denver. Start the season off 2 games on the road, and they had a good script in the beginning of the game, and they had a bad turnover. It is what it is. You lose to the Bills by 3, you lose to them by 30 or whatever it was. There's no difference. You only lose one time. I think they're going to be a lot more prepared. I think the schedule just was a little bit against them to start the season, and every team was going to get punched in the mouth at least one time a year. It's a long season, and it just tends to happen. Even to the best teams, you're going to take a bad loss. All that matters is how you respond to it. That's all that really matters over the course of an NFL season. The Steelers aren't great. I think the offensive line will have a much better game next week. I think Jimmy G is going to be a lot better. Now, the Steelers are great. It's obviously, of course, not a gimme. This is a big rivalry. It's going to be close. But thinking back to the Steelers team that was very similar to the Raiders team they played last year, Jimmy G has already played better than Derek Carr did last year, regardless of last week. Just the way that he looks in the offense. And I think things will open up a little bit. I feel like if Jimmy G was in that game last year for the Raiders, they would have won it. And I think both teams are just about the same. There's not much change over the last couple of years, between when they played each other. I'll take the Raiders here in a very close game, but, hopefully the turnovers just get, settled down just a little bit. That's definitely been the biggest problem for the Raiders this year. I think they can. I think that's why you hire a quarterback like Jimmy G to kind of come in and quell when the times get tough, because Derek Carr just wasn't there. When times got tough, Derek Carr cried at the stadium or at the podium. That's what he did. Jimmy G is cool as a cucumber, and I think that he'll be good. These are evenly matched teams. These are 2 teams that aren't playoff teams but could make the playoffs. Those are the designation I have for both the Raiders and Steelers. These are the games that get you either in the wild card or not. That's it. These are the kinds of games that make those kinds of decisions. It's a huge game. I think the Raiders win one at home. I think Jimmy G gets a nice ovation, and I'm excited for it. I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I mean, I think Daniel Carlson will have at least 3 field goals in this game. Yeah. It bothers me not seeing Christian Gonzalez in the silver and black. It really does.
Yeah.
That guy locked down Tyreek last week. And that's an area that you guys really are struggling. And if George Pickens gets going, you're in trouble, because that kid's an absolute monster waiting to happen. He's just got a lousy quarterback. Next, Super Bowl runner-up Eagles. They travel to Tampa Bay. They're -5.5 Monday night. I hate this 2 games on Monday night, but whatever.
They should be at least full games apart from each other. Right?
One game Thursday, full slate Sunday, 1 game Monday, but whatever. Anyway, they fly down there to take on Tampa Bay, who is 2-0. Told you guys, Tampa Bay is going to be the surprise team of the year, man. Baker Mayfield's playing with moxie. I'm taking Tampa, man. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just an idiot. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but Tampa Bay does have Chris Godwin. They do have Rashad White. They do have Mike Evans. And, you know, these are good players, man. Devin White's still a good player. Carlton Davis is still a good player. Like I said last week, Tom Brady didn't rape the entire cupboard bare. They are playing well. And to me, the Eagles are not playing well. They're playing okay. And they have been banged up. Avonte Maddox is out for the year. Sure, they're getting Bradbury back, a couple other guys back, and I know their D-line is beast, but, like, Tristan Wirfs is the size of my house. I mean, you can combat. The chessboard for this game is not as one-sided as you would think. Now, the whole world is going to have you thinking, yeah, it's only 5. Touchdown can win. Dude, home dogs pay dividends, man. No one is going to take Tampa in this game. Nobody. But you know who is? World of matchups is. I am. +5. I will take it. Baker can run. Just make safe throws. Run the ball a little bit, but don't try to run it up the middle because that is an absolute clogged log jam in the middle of the field when you have those beasts on the side of the Eagles. But I think somehow, some way, man, they're going to cover this 5. I'm not saying they're going to win. If you are playing with house money and you're really up and you want to dare to be great, Tampa Bay money line. I really like Tampa Bay this week. Under the lights, guys show everything that they have because, you know, the whole world is watching. Dude, people in Afghanistan are watching Monday Night Football. Guys play harder. I like Tampa here. I like them a lot. I do not trust Philly on the road. This is the same team on the road last year that I saw get run up on by the Lions. You saw what happened in the second half of the Super Bowl. They are not. There's just something about the kryptonite that is the road for them. They play great at home in front of their fans, but once they're on the road, it's a different story. Fire the cannons.
I don't know. I think this is just one of those games where Baker Mayfield is just going to look really pedestrian. I think the Buccaneers are just one of those teams that will always take care of business against below 500 teams, but the moment you put them on primetime against a real playoff team is when Baker Mayfield just looks really bad. And I think there's a reason that Baker Mayfield isn't still in Cleveland, you know what I mean, on some level. And I just think that this is one of those games where it's going to be like, oh, yeah, this is kind of why he got shopped around a little bit. I have to give him credit. I mean, the guy has definitely had a nice resurgent season so far. And, you know, Tampa Bay's a pretty good team.
They're decent, bro.
If they covered, I wouldn't be just floored. I wouldn't be like, this is unbelievable. But I don't know. I'm going to take Philly here. I just think that sometimes the floodgates open, and I just see if Philly gets up 14-0 or 10-0 in this game, I just see Tampa Bay just getting buried at some point, and they just can't crawl out of it. If they can't run the ball consistently with Rashad White, I just don't think it's going to be what they want it to be. I'm going to take Philadelphia here, but really this is kind of a toss-up when it comes to who's going to cover.
Yeah. This one can go either way. Baker Mayfield has been playing well his last 10 games. Even when he was with the Rams, the last primetime game he played, I forgot who they played, but he showed up. He showed out. I'm not saying he's good, but styles make fights. I'm not so convinced of the Eagles here, man. If the Eagles have to go to Dallas in the playoffs, they're going home. I really believe that right now, unless they start turning it on, man. I mean, I know they got beasts, but you got to be able to score, man. Jalen Hurts is underperforming. Period. End of statement. All these guys who got paid, Lamar, Hurts, Burrow. I don't ever want to hear about any of you clowns thinking you're in the same stratosphere as Patrick Mahomes. Seriously, you shouldn't even be allowed to enter his neighborhood. Stop it. I'm serious, dude. I'm serious. Where is it? Week in and week out. So for that reason and that reason only, if Jalen Hurts is playing at a higher level, I would take him and lay the 5. But something tells me, I don't know. It just all of a sudden it smells in here. You know what I mean? When that happens, man, I mean, did my dog fart or something? I'm taking Tampa. Finally, we're going to end the slate. LA Rams head to Cincinnati, and who-day is -3. I'm here to tell y'all, you Bengals fans, man, you're like the Broncos fans. You're in my inbox talking all this crap on I am enjoying your 0-2, and I'm going to enjoy your 0-3 because World of Matchups again is going to go out on a limb by myself when no one else wants to take me, and I'm taking the Rams. Even if Joe Burrow plays, I'm taking the Rams, and I'm going to take the Rams for 3 reasons. Number 1, Kyren Williams. Number 2, Puka Nacua. Number 3, Aaron Donald. Those 3 right now are enough to go into Cincinnati and steal a win. I'm going to go on record as saying they're going to win this game outright. I'll take the 3, but they're going to win this game outright. They're going to shock everyone. The Rams are a better team than people think, with a seasoned coach who has been to a Super Bowl, who has won a Super Bowl. Puka Nacua is going to be the biggest story in the National Football League this entire season. Dude, the guy's getting Jerry Rice-style targets. And if Cooper Kupp ever comes back and he can stay healthy, now you got Puka on one side, you got Kupp on the other side, you got Tutu Atwell in the slot, and then you have Kyren Williams in the back. All of a sudden, they get rid of the jettison Cam Akers. That tells you all that you need to know about how much trust they have in their skilled players. And their defense is still okay. I don't care how bad your defense is. If you've got Aaron Donald on your team, your defense is still okay. Period. End of statement. I don't like anything I have seen from Cincinnati at all. All year, there's not one thing. Joe Mixon has been absolutely mid. They are going to cripple Joe Burrow and that $275 million contract. That calf is not right. Their wide receivers have done absolutely nothing. Jamar Chase has done absolutely nothing. I don't want to hear another word. They got no tight end. Their secondary is young and inexperienced. Tell me how they are home favorites here. Oh, it's because they're home. I don't trust this team at all. And so I'm taking the Rams here. I'm taking the Rams to win this game. If Burrow doesn't play, the Rams are definitely winning this game. John Browning is your backup quarterback. Your third quarterback, your emergency quarterback is Joe Mixon. You want to talk about a team going backwards. You guys are 0-3 since Burrowhead. And you're walking around puffing out your chest. You've done absolutely nothing. I am going to take more pleasure in watching you guys lose on Monday night than getting laid. I'm sorry. Take the Rams, take the points, and eat a steak.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance that I think that Cincinnati's so close to punting the season. I think they're just like it's close to doing it. I think that little joyride Joe Burrow had with the owner during practice may have been, hey, buddy, we're this close to shutting you down for the season. We're going to get a top pick in the draft. We're going to trade it all away. Okay, we're going to trade it out of the top 10, get everything that we need out of the top 10 because someone's going to trade up for a quarterback, and we're going to go after this thing next year, kiddo. What do you think? I don't think they're there yet, but I think they're about 2 weeks away. I think they're.
If he gets hurt Monday night,
calf injury.
Jamar Chase is saying don't play. Your stud wide receivers like, dude, please just don't play. We want you healthy. Take it easy. We can still come back from 3 or 4 losses. Get right. What does that tell you? If he gets hit on that calf, he's out for the year. There's just something about guys who not named Mahomes who get paid, Spencer. It just doesn't work out for them. I don't trust Cincinnati anywhere, man.
I love Los Angeles in this game,
dude. Oh my god!
I think there's no way that Joe Burrow plays. So, I mean, 3 points against Browning. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That number would shoot up past 7.
It'll shoot up. It'll shoot up. Yeah, it'll have to. I mean, John Browning. I mean, that sounds like somebody who teaches social studies. You know what I mean? Like, come on, dude. Like, let's be honest here. The Rams have looked pretty good. They took San Francisco to the wire, who destroyed the Giants. And San Francisco's a Super Bowl caliber team. I expected the Rams to win 4 games this year. That's clearly not the case. I mean, Puka Nacua, guys, this has become a household name. Get familiar with this guy. Go look at his route tree the last 2 games. He gets over 30 targets. That's Jerry Rice. I mean, that's Cooper. It's like Cooper. It's like, is he Hawaiian or Samoan or what? He's like the whole Samoan version of Cooper Kupp. He catches everything. The middle of the field is his. And I know he's got an oblique, but look, and I know Kyren Williams is small, but that Cincinnati defense does not instill fear into anybody at all. You're a sucker if you're betting Cincinnati with any kind of points. I'm serious, man. I will stand on this hill alone. Rams take Monday Night Football to close out the Week 3 NFL slate. You've been watching Dexter Reed on one side, Spencer the Wiz on the other, and this is World of Matchups, bringing the heat in and out of every calendar football week in the National Football League. this year and every year. You guys enjoy the games. Any parting shots, Spencer?
Good luck to the Raiders, because they're going to need every ounce of it. That's all I can think of, to be honest.
Pray for Justin Fields, you guys. He's not okay. He's not okay. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the games.
Yeah.